Hi, and welcome to the Evolve CEO podcast. I'm your host, Greg Gillies, and this podcast is designed for high-achieving CEOs, business founders, and entrepreneurs who are looking for ways to expand beyond their business accomplishments, their life, and their relationships. We will be taking a deep dive into all topics relating to success, love, and happiness, and we will be talking a lot around healing, alignment, and manifestation, which is the key to actualizing ourselves and reaching our highest potential. Look forward to you tuning in to this week's episode. Hi, and welcome to the Evolve CEO podcast. This week's podcast is important for everybody to tune into, and it's going to be heavily focused on your health and well-being. But we're going to be talking about a specific topic. We're actually going to be talking about a virus, not COVID virus, a virus that 95% of the world's population has in their body, whether they are aware of it or not. And that is the Epstein Barr-Virus. Now, Tracey is an expert in this area because we have worked with, and Tracey has healed hundreds of people for multi-different reasons on multi-levels because we're multi-dimensional. But 95% of all of our clients, when they come to us, they have Epstein Barr-Virus, and it's actually activated and flared up in their body. And it is the deepest underlying cause that is holding people back from having optimal mental, physical, and spiritual health. So I'm going to be going through an interview style with Tracey because she's an expert in this field and she's created a modality for getting rid of Epstein Barr. First of all, Trace, can you just explain, because a lot of people won't be aware, what is Epstein Barr-Virus?
It's actually part of the herpes family. So it's herpes virus 4, but it's probably more commonly known as then can create an infection in the body, which would be called glandular fever or mono. But the hard thing with this virus is it's actually classed as an opportunist virus. So what it means is that once you actually contract it, and there's many ways to contract it. So it can be passed through saliva. Again, glandular fever is called the kissing disease, through blood, through semen, but you can also pass it on through in utero. So again, you pass it to your unborn baby. So this is why so many people have it. So 95% of the world's population, but what actually happens is it never leaves your body. And once upon a time, it used to be in balance because, we're actually only 10% human. We've got so many other things within our body. We've got parasites, we've got so many microorganisms, different viruses, all these different things. And what actually happens with this virus is, as I said, it used to be in balance, but the way that the world or the way that we live now, like we're carrying so much stress internally, it's almost morphed into something that is creating so much destruction because of the environment that it's in within our body. As I said, it's an opportunist virus. It almost can lay dormant in people's bodies and affect them maybe 10, 20 years down the track.
So how does somebody know that they have Epstein Barr-Virus?
You would have had to have gone and got a blood test at the doctor. So what you would do is you would go and say, can I get my bloods checked for Epstein Barr-Virus? And often they will say, they can see that you've had the antibodies for it. So it means it shows that at some point in your life you've contracted it, but your body's dealt with it, and they'll say that it's inactive. Now, somebody, when it actually builds up to such a high level that it's really affecting their health in a very serious way, and it shows up in so many different areas, they will often have a flare up, and then they'll probably go back to the doctor and they will say at that point that it's actually active at that time in their body.
What is the lack of information that people are getting about Epstein Barr-Virus? What do people know about it in the marketplace?
Well, a lot of people don't know that much unless they've done their research. But the medical industry is now linking it to so many mystery illnesses, as well as it's a big lead reason for cancer. So even things like mystery illness, like chronic fatigue, is Epstein Barr-Virus. Even things like there's fibromyalgia, that is Epstein Barr-Virus. Thyroid dysfunction is Epstein Barr-Virus. So maybe I'll explain what it actually does in the body and the different stages, because then you'll see how it has the potential to literally cause so many issues in the body. And when it comes to healing, you have to deal or heal the underlying issue. Otherwise, everything is a Band-Aid fix. Like, I've even helped somebody that had Lyme's disease, but it was the underlying cause that was kind of keeping it in place, was the Epstein Barr-Virus. So what happens is, when you get Epstein-Barr, your body will initiate an immune response, and then what happens, it looks like your body's dealt with it, but it actually goes and sits in your liver and spleen, and it loves toxicity. And if you think about the world we live in, there's so much toxicity. But when I speak about toxicity, people think I'm thinking about like the food we eat or our cleaning products or all of these external factors. We actually create so much autotoxicity in our body by being under and stuck in like a deep state of stress. So what it does is it feeds off toxicity, and it also affects like a liver detoxification pathway, which is methylation pathway. So a lot of women tend to suffer with Epstein-Barr more than men, from what I've seen, due to the fact that their body has to deal with a lot of other things, like you've got your month cycle, having babies, all of these different things. And if somebody has that methylation pathway that's not functioning properly, they will have problems with their hormones month to month as well.
It's interesting that you say that women suffer from Epstein-Barr-Virus more than men. However, most of the clients that we've worked with through the Evolve CEO program are men. And we'd be lucky if there was a handful of people that didn't have Epstein-Barr-Virus, right? Like literally just about all of them had at a level when they first came to us.
Oh, most definitely. I think possibly women are more aware of their health. So a lot of women will go and get their thyroid checked because they have problems with their hormones, and because it becomes so obvious, they then go and get all these other things checked in their body that might be the cause of the hormone imbalance. So sorry, that was probably wrong there to say that, because most of our clients are male and that is just as high in them, but often women will know that they have Epstein-Barr-Virus. I guess I would put
There's
it
a lot
that
of
way.
other signs and symptoms that a woman would be picking up on, right? Thyroid,
I think
hormones,
women are more aware of their
adrenals.
health. I think they are more aware of their health. You know, adrenal dysfunction, they'll often go and get checked, looking for those natural therapies and looking for that kind of underlying reason why. But going back to saying how it sits in the liver and spleen, so what it does is it waits, and it waits till you're dealing with stress. And so your body will be dealing, your immune system's coping with something else. And what it does then, so, it could be like a divorce. It could be even moving house. It could be a death. It could be, the list goes on and on. There's so much stress that we're under these days. And once your body's dealing with something else, it actually goes and attacks your thyroid. A lot of thyroid dysfunction, people will say autoimmune, and they will say your thyroid's literally attacking itself. It's actually attacking the Epstein-Barr in the thyroid. So once the thyroid is compromised, it can literally go and affect, pretty much any other body structure. And then the big key piece to it is it actually attaches to mercury. And so it crosses the blood-brain barrier, which there's not many things that can do that. And once that's compromised and your whole central nervous system is literally being attacked, which means it's inflamed. I don't know if you've listened to our other podcasts. We speak a lot about people being stuck in sympathetic nervous system dominance, or it's called deep survival stress. When we are in this state, we are locked out of our parasympathetic nervous system, which is the place our body will heal and repair from. So if we're locked out of that, we're just on the slow decline, because our body cannot even recover. It can't even heal. It can't even regenerate. And so Epstein-Barr-Virus is attacking and just, pushing you further and further into a state of this stress and in a state of this deep survival stress. And then, everything else just gets compromised from there.
So guys, let me just recap on that, because Tracey shared a lot of information and we're going to go even deeper. Epstein-Barr-Virus literally feeds off stress, and we live in a world where people are carrying more stress than ever before. And we've spoken a lot about stress and burnout and how it's been normalized because everybody is operating in such a fast pace that we just live our lives through stress. So when stress flares up, the Epstein-Barr-Virus, and if you have a compounding effect of years and years of stress and highs and lows, and a lot of our clients are got the dynamics of business, the stress of business, family, children, they've got to look after their health, like so many things, as Tracey said, happens in your life. a lot of events happen, even somebody passing away causes this stress, which flares up the Epstein Barr-Virus. People will go and look after their nutrition. People will go and exercise. People will meditate. People will go on holiday, and it will give you a period of relief. But if you don't heal and release the Epstein Barr-Virus out of your body, the next event that pops up is going to flare up all the old stuff. And what happens over time is Epstein Barr-Virus is literally breaking down your glands and organs. And as Tracey said, it starts in your liver and spleen. So it'll take over your liver and spleen. Then it'll move to organs like the thyroid. Then it'll take over the adrenals. Epstein Barr-Virus is the deepest underlying cause to burnout because it's holding people in these deep survival states where their adrenals are literally going from fatigue to exhaustion to burnout. Then attaches to, as Tracey said, the central nervous system. Now, when Epstein Barr-Virus attaches to the central nervous system and mercury, it can cross over into our brain. And when it crosses over into our brain, it affects all of our neurological structures, neural pathways, and so forth. Now, Tracey's going to talk a little bit more about this, but I've been doing a massive amount of research as well. The medical industry has proven that Epstein Barr-Virus is linked to a lot of mental disease, dementia, Alzheimer's, and the like. And it is linked to cancer, and it is linked to burnout, and it is linked to hypothyroidism. It's linked to all of these mysterious illnesses. So again, 95% of the world's population has it. Most of them don't know they have it. They don't know it's the deepest underlying cause. And if they don't heal Epstein Barr-Virus, they won't be able to fully heal their whole physical body.
And it affects neurotransmitters, so they're like chemical messengers in the body. So I see a lot of people that will be like, I'm really now struggling with anxiety or depression, and I haven't before, and it's gotten the worst that it's ever been. It will be the Epstein Barr-Virus pushing you into more and more dysfunction, things not functioning properly, brain structures not functioning properly, neurotransmitters, all of these different areas. And so there's a bigger picture going on to someone's health. It is sad because a lot of people are completely unaware that that is the underlying cause to their health issues and their concerns.
And it gets frustrating because if you don't know what the true underlying cause is and you are trying to do what you need to do to look after yourself, but you're not getting in that optimal health, it can get frustrating. It can be very willpower driven. It can be quite confusing. It can be frustrating. So Tracey, we talk a lot about the mind, the body, and spirit because we're multidimensional, right? So I want you to talk specifically about how Epstein Barr-Virus affects the body. Then we'll talk about specifically how it affects the mind, and then specifically how it affects our spiritual connection. So if you can just recap and go into how Epstein Barr-Virus actually starts, begins, and compromises our body. What are the stages?
It's hard to explain, I guess, because the body, when it starts getting compromised, will compensate for itself. So one organ or gland will start to compensate for another. And that's the hard thing, that the body gets really confused and doesn't even kind of know where to start because it's almost like it can't even kind of clear up the mess it's in. I would say somebody would be looking to start like thinking that their adrenals, they've got an adrenal problem.
Yeah.
They're feeling exhausted. They're feeling fatigued no matter what they do. Even sleep does not help because a lot of people will talk about meditation, all of these other things, and they'll go away and kind of have this time out and they'll kind of sort of think I need to change some of my external factors that are creating stress. But when you've got Epstein Barr-Virus, especially attacking the central nervous system, it doesn't matter what your external world's doing. It's because your internal world is inflamed. So even if you were trying to be like Zen or be somewhere where you're sort of in peace and quiet, your internal gauge is the complete opposite. So it would look like adrenals. People might start to think they've got hormone issues, and they might be looking at their hormones. They might then start to look at their thyroid, maybe their metabolism, maybe they're kind of putting on weight, all of these different things. So they'll probably be looking at the symptoms, and it will be kind of on that physical level.
And what happens when people take the advice of going on some serious fasting diet or a keto diet or doing some of these extreme physical health things that are so popular in the world what actually happens to the body if you've got a high level of Epstein Barr-Virus and you go and start doing these quite intense diets and exercise programs and stuff to try and fix your health?
It's hard to say because of the work that I do. I know how I heal it. So let's say what actually happens is it affects some of your liver detoxification pathways. So somebody would be going and doing a detox. But if those pathways aren't functioning properly because of Epstein Barr-Virus, you won't eliminate the toxins properly. And you can actually do more damage in your body by immobilizing all these toxins. So again, I don't think the extreme is kind of the way to do it because you can do more damage with that. Diet would be a good place to try and start. Again, I only know how the process that I do to look at all these structures and, look at Epstein-Barr in relation to it and get the body to acknowledge it so it can start to get rid of it. But let's talk about diet. The point with the diet is people will say, heal your gut, heal your life, which I can't even say that word.
We understand the word. Carry on.
That is true. Like that is definitely can be true. But when we're stuck in deep survival stress and our neurological structures actually control everything else in our body, we do have our gut brain. So the etheric nervous system, and people will sort of say that plays a big role in our mental health and back into our brain. But the overriding factor is our brain. That's what controls everything. So if that's in this deep state of stress, it will just hold and keep pushing our digestive system back into the same state. And people will try and eat well. But when their digestive system is stuck in the state, it literally can't even utilize fats and proteins properly, because it's in the state of wanting fast burn food. Even if we're trying to eat really well, food doesn't digest properly because the digestive system is stuck in the state where it's not actually functioning correctly, that things ferment, that creates more toxicity. I have seen people do it that way, but it would be a long haul. It would be like doing a perfect diet and being a martyr probably for I want to say 6 months to a year, maybe. But being perfect, most people, I would say good on you if you had that stamina to kind of keep that up and do that, but it's really not factoring in a whole lot of other things. You might reduce it from different structures, but if you haven't actually got it out of other structures later on when you kind of go back to your normal life, it will just takes whatever type of stress and it just builds back up again. So that's the problem with it.
Okay. So again, guys, just to recap, Epstein-Barr virus is an opportune virus. It's kind of mutated over the years because of the amount of stress and toxicity. It attacks the glands and organs. It's the deepest underlying cause to all mysterious illness. And people are trying to reduce or heal themselves from Epstein-Barr virus through predominantly diet. I'm going to get Tracey to talk about some of the other things in the marketplace that people are trying. But ultimately what it is, you being extremely disciplined, following an extreme nutrition protocol, and all it's going to do is reduce it and put it at bay until the next massive stressful flare-up or toxicity episode happens, and you're going to be in this juggle of using nutrition to keep it at bay. It actually doesn't remove it.
Can I also say with the detox, with that, if somebody was trying to reduce mercury, which makes sense to logically go, I'll do that. And there's definitely binders that you can buy that would help take the load off your body. But what mercury also does, it's a neurotoxin, and it can actually confuse the brain neurologically to think it doesn't have enough of it. And so it will keep picking up more and more and more. So when I look at healing Epstein-Barr virus, I have to tell the body and clear this confusion, or it's called switching, and so the body then goes, oh, I actually have too much mercury, I need to get rid of it. So somebody could be doing all these amazing things trying to get rid of it, but the point is, neurologically, your brain controls everything. If it doesn't think it needs to do something, it will not do it. Especially also with Epstein-Barr, it gets so confused. Your body doesn't even realize where to start or that it's affecting it in that way.
So other than diet, what other kind of modalities, therapy, what else are people doing in the marketplace to try and reduce or support Epstein-Barr virus in their body?
I do know there's like ozone therapy, which is like oxygenation sort of therapy. And it would just be, all the other therapies would be literally trying to give your body more resources to take that toxic load off, to kind of free up space so your body has more ability to start releasing or getting rid of this. So even, with your immune system, 70% of that is in your GI tract. So again, that can be not functioning correctly. So even through that kind of diet protocol or process, it's kind of freeing up that space so the body has a better chance of healing and reducing it.
Okay, so now the big question, how do you heal somebody from Epstein Barr-Virus? What do you do differently than anybody else in the marketplace?
I guess the story is also about, how did I come up with that? I actually had Epstein Barr-Virus myself, and I kept getting told by the doctors that I was depressed and that I had, I needed to go on medication. And I just knew in my heart of hearts that there was a deeper issue, and I couldn't just take a pill to fix my life, because that would just be a Band-Aid fix. And so as I kind of went through and started this healing journey for myself, I had to heal from Epstein Barr. But at the time, I didn't have the skills I have now. So I think I did it in a really long about way. And it might have taken me a few years as I kind of just went through, healing all areas of my life, taking myself out of deep survival stress. But as I worked with more and more and more clients, I realized that they all had Epstein Barr-Virus. And as I started working with it, I realized that if I needed to heal them on all levels of their life, if they've got adrenal dysfunction, or they're coming to me for whatever the issue is, everybody comes to me for different things, but really the underlying cause was all the same. I ended up creating this process and protocol that I take the energy through. So I think I have explained in the past that how I heal people. I actually bring people's energy into my own body. It's called energetic surrogacy. And I am like this clear channel, or this template for physical, mental, and spiritual health. And it's like I'm this massive menu. And when people merge with my energy, the energy almost breathes a sigh of relief and says, oh my God, I need this, 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 and this, right? And at the level of that sort of higher connection in a person, it knows exactly what they need to be in optimal mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual health. But I've created this process where it's like with Epstein Barr-Virus, the body doesn't even know where to start. So I actually have to go into every single organ and gland in their body, and I have to link Epstein Barr-Virus. It's like I'm giving the body this list to say, hey, it's here, 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 here. And then I have to look at the whole neurological structures. So I'm talking about like brain structures. I'm talking about the amygdala. I'm talking about neural pathways and networks. I'm talking about glia cells, all neurotransmitters. It's like I got to find every single thing in the body where Epstein Barr-Virus is connected. I look at your perineural system. I look at the cranial respiratory system. The list goes on. It's literally hundreds or thousands of different areas. And it's like I give your body this list. And then what happens is, even if people don't realize they've got it, or they're not in an active phase of it, their body has to initiate an immune response. So it will kind of, a day or two after I do this session for a person, it will look like maybe a slight kind of flu, maybe sort of swollen glands. It's like your body, and recognizes and goes, oh my God, I know what to do with it now. And it starts to clear it up. There is a number of touch points that go with it. There's also a whole lot of other things that I would have to do, as in, it goes hand in hand with somebody's whole life, because it's the catalyst that is the reason why it's built up, which is the person's stress or trauma that they've never really dealt with. And so through that process, we talk about in the, I don't know what the pillar is, it's about the mind pillar and how the brain
Mental
works,
health.
how you carry all these unconscious beliefs, and how there's so many things that are actually in conflict in the mind. It's like I've got to reprogram someone's amygdala and take away all of these meanings of what is holding stress in their life. There's so many different layers to why people can be holding deep survival stress state or stuck in sympathetic nervous system dominance. So it's like you've got to factor in all these things too. So it's like the deepest healing program, because I have to heal the past and the reason, or the catalyst for why Epstein Barr-Virus flared up in the first place. And, if you didn't do that and you just focused on Epstein Barr from the point of your diet or whatever, you're not actually healing the reason why it almost got out of control in the first place. And that would be the point to stopping it from rebuilding up again. And, I've also had people where they've had a lot of trauma in their life happen, or maybe there's been a situation from another person and they just cannot forgive. They cannot move forward. And Epstein Barr-Virus, while that physical stress is being held in their body as a reminder why, because it was that stress that allowed the ill health to occur, the Epstein Barr-Virus to kind of overrun them and actually kind of, collapse a lot of function in their body. You have to heal that past trauma or memory because that is linked in with the Epstein Barr-Virus. So they can actually reduce Epstein Barr-Virus, which is reducing all the stress in their body, and they can move forward from all the things that they were holding on to. So Epstein Barr-Virus and the way that I heal it, it goes hand in hand with transformation.
Okay. What about the spiritual aspects?
There's a lot.
So why do people need to, if Epstein Barr-Virus is a physical virus that attacks glands, organs, and attaches to central nervous system and attacks the mind, why does somebody need to heal spiritually in their soul to get rid of Epstein Barr-Virus?
Because it's about transformation, and that's what we're all here to do. We're here to live in alignment with our highest potential, our highest aspect of ourself, and that is always the spiritual. So you wouldn't have to do that if you were kind of trying to do other things to reduce it, but you will not have the lifetime of transformation or the long-term transformation if you don't do that. So even the way when I go through that process, the work I do and the way that I heal, it's like it's using the power of spirit to reconnect to these aspects of you that hold. It's like a template for good health. It's like your highest potential, all of these things, and it brings order to the physical body. I don't know if you've noticed, but somebody that's more spiritually connected or their energies aligned, you can see it in them. It's in their health as well. But, I do a lot of soul retrieval through the process as well for people. So it's almost like we're missing or we're locked out of these parts of ourselves. It would be like our sort of next, potential or kind of highest potential in these places. And it's through trauma. It's through kind of the past and needing to heal these areas that we actually reclaim these pieces. It makes us whole. There's so much other sort of spiritual work that I would do in healing Epstein Barr because they are all linked. But our body is like the gateway to the spiritual. So if our body has become so dysfunctional, it's like we're not even connected properly to our spiritual aspects. Like our body's always giving us signs, and half the time people are not listening. And so when you're so compromised in that way and your body's not even functioning properly, it is so hard to know what's right and what's not right. We could talk about intuition and even what's right and what's not right and what I need to do in my life, but I could also be talking about what foods are good for me, what's right for me. Like I know now when my energy is so clear, I could eat something or I could drink something and I instantly know it doesn't agree with me. People have almost lost that ability in themselves because their body's so bogged down. But the way that I heal someone, I'm using that power of spirit to do it. I'm using healing their energetic structures, which even the physical body, everything vibrates at a certain vibrational frequency. A liver vibrates at a different vibrational frequency than somebody's heart. So again, it's like I read these energetic structures and I can see where they're out of balance. And by bringing things back into alignment, by linking it to Epstein Barr and saying, hey, Epstein Barr is compromising the structure, your body then can go, oh, I know how to get rid of it now. But it is all directed by that highest part of self, which is that spiritual connection or spiritual bodies.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing all that information. Guys, the reason why this podcast is so important, and we hope that so many people watch it, listen to it, and take note, is the world that we are living in now, illness and disease is rampant. Cancer is rampant. People's burning out their adrenals is rampant. Sympathetic nervous system dominance is rampant. It's even getting normalized. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the deepest underlying cause to physical, mental, and spiritual dysfunction is Epstein Barr-Virus. This virus is that powerful and that critical beyond any other virus that there is in the world. Epstein Barr-Virus is the underlying cause that is derailing people and literally killing people. It is the deepest underlying cause. It is so important that you get tested and see if you've got Epstein Barr-Virus and to start doing something about it, because everything else that you learn about and hear about is typically the symptom. I've got an adrenal problem, symptom, thyroid problem, symptom, mental problem, symptom. They're all symptoms of the same deep underlying cause, which is Epstein Barr-Virus. Now, luckily, Tracey has actually created her own Epstein Barr-Virus healing protocol. It is a 5-month program where she heals every single level of a person's mind, body, and spirit and soul to release Epstein Barr-Virus out of their body so that they can have optimal health and go through a transformational program. There is nothing like this in the world, and we are adding links to the bottom of this podcast for people. If you hear this when it's first launched, you may be able to come into one of Tracey's webinars to share with you more detail on Epstein Barr-Virus, or you'll be taken to a landing page where you can watch more information.
Sorry, can I just say the reason I also have created this program is that Greg and I were working with people one-on-one, and our fees were just getting so high, and I felt so sad because people were reaching out to me when I spoke about Epstein Barr, and I didn't really have anywhere that would suit them or to put them because they couldn't afford our one-to-one program. And so this is why I just want to help more people, because I can see what the true underlying cause for people's, ill health and them not moving ahead in their life. So this is why I've created this program and process to be able to take more people through. But could I also just say that last thing about the program that I've created that makes it different from anything else in the marketplace is that, how I spoke about how at once upon a time it used to be in balance in our body. There's a lot of touch points I have to do for the Epstein Barr-Virus over the 5 months. So it reduces in someone's body. I have to reduce it again, go back and sit in their lymph, in their lymphatic system. I have to look at it from that point of view. So there's all these different things. But once I reduce it down to a certain point in the body, I actually do a vibrational shift with it, a vibrational change. I recode it because I work with a lot of high vibrations, a lot that aren't on earth that have higher healing abilities. I was told by source, so I receive like almost channeled messages that if something used to be in balance, why can't it go back in balance again? So this is what I do right at the end of the program is I bring it back into balance so it won't do that big rebuild up process again in someone's body. But also there is a tie into the world. Maybe I'll just share this. It's symbolic of human beings, I'm sorry to say, but the way we have almost morphed into this thing that we're not really serving the earth and we cause so much destruction in our wake. So always these symbolic tie-ins. And so that's what Epstein Barr-Virus almost has done. It's through the way we live, the way that we're even, stuck in the stress state because of the way that we're living. It's morphed into something now that causes so much disconnection and ill health.
Fantastic. So if you want to know more, please check out the show notes, click on the links. We will be adding pages, webinars, Tracey's website and social media links. It's a really important topic, guys. Most of you who are listening to this will have it at some degree, and it will be holding you back from your optimal physical, mental, and spiritual well-being and health. So again, you may want to listen to this podcast again because Tracey shares so much information. It just rolls off her tongue. Thank you for tuning in. We look forward to sharing our next podcast with you next week. Have an amazing day. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Evolve CEO podcast. If you value the information that is in our podcast, please like, subscribe, and add a review to our podcast page because it'll help us understand the value that you are receiving and, more importantly, spread the word of this podcast. Also, share it with your friends and your family. Now, every listener of our podcast gets a free gift from us, and this is our 9 Pillars of Success, Love, and Happiness life assessment. This is the exact same life assessment that our high-level clients, which are CEOs and business leaders, go through on an annual basis so that they can assess and reflect the past 12 months of their life and then plan their desired outcome for the next 12 months of their life. And this is our gift to you for listening in. So please follow the links below and you'll find the link to the assessment page You'll also find Tracey and my social media links. We would love for you to connect with us on our social media channels, follow our additional content on there, as we want to provide as much value as we can in the event of helping you create more success, love, and happiness in your life. Thank you, and we'll see you in the next episode.